And we're live. Andrew Tate versus BBC. Legacy media is very clever. The Gamma Effect. I'm Gamma coming at you with a beautiful video because this, I'll call it an artifact or example, is going to teach us quite a bit. This is a learning session. This ain't just for YouTube fun and games. This is a learning session. Please listen up, brothers, because this is very interesting. Okay, so Andrew Tate decides to do an interview with the BBC. They come into his house, into his home residence, and they have a conversation, an interview. I'm gonna play this video for you, and I'm gonna give you a little bit of my thoughts and opinions and commentary. Basically, I'm going to give you the Gamma Effect. I'm going to give you the Gamma Effect on this BBC interview. Now, I'll start this and just show you a bit. But before I start it, please like and subscribe to this video. Hit that notification bell. You are definitely going to get value out of this video. In return, do the right thing and give me a like and subscribe. I'll give you 3 seconds to do that right now. Hit that like button and subscribe. Okay, let's get at it. Okay, so the first thing they do, I want to break down the techniques of the legacy media. They definitely have serious, well thought out, well practiced over years and years. I don't know how long the BBC has been in operation, but it's probably been at least 100 years. They're very good at what they do. They are creating a perception. Now, the first thing they do as you're watching this is they preface the interview. So they give you their point of view, and it kind of puts you in a state of mind as you look at it before you actually see the interview. They're going to kind of ring some bells and give you some associations to some things that are quite harsh, quite heinous, very serious, right? So they create the mood and the tone, and then they put you in a state of this guy's possibly been a very bad man before they actually start the interview. And then they get into it. So let's look at the preface technique that they use.
Now, the BBC has questioned the controversial social media influencer Andrew Tate at his home in the Romanian capital, Bucharest. Tate is under house arrest and being investigated by Romanian prosecutors for accusations including rape, human trafficking and exploiting women, which he denies. The BBC challenged him on whether his views about women broadcast to his millions of online followers harmed young people, as many teachers and police officers claim.
Okay, very interesting. So they're ringing bells, you know. They describe him as controversial, and then they get into the language of his I guess accusations. I don't even want to say the words that they use, but you heard them. The accusations that they levied against him. And then they give a third-party example of who's accusing him. They're using teachers and police. Okay, so both public servants, teachers and police, and they both have like really good credibility as far as being credible and righteous and I guess there to do the right thing, right? We all used to watch Sesame Street when we were little, and then they used to have these songs of, you know, when you're a small little kid and who should you go to if you ever need help? Well, a teacher, a police officer. They're tapping into this part of your psyche. You're not even aware of it. All this stuff hits in the subconscious. Let's keep it moving.
The interview, which had no set conditions, was Tate's first since being released into house arrest from police custody last month. Lucy Williamson reports now from Bucharest.
We are doing an interview with you because you're facing some very serious allegations.
Correct.
Rape, human trafficking.
Yep.
And also because there's a great deal of concern about the things you say and the impact that they have on young people, on women.
I don't think the concerns about the...
I just want to make sure you guys see it as from this view where it says they're concerned with what he says, right? And I don't know about the UK, to be honest with you. I really don't. I'm not real versed on their society or their laws. But in the US, we got freedom of speech. I'm not sure if there's freedom of speech in the UK. But what they're saying is what you say has an impact, and we have a problem with it. So don't speak like this. And they do have that power. The media does have that power. They are not reporting. They are influencing your ability to speak. I mean, I'm watching what I say right now. I'm very careful with what I say and don't say. And I suggest that all the YouTube family out there, the YouTube brothers, I suggest you be careful as well. Grade your language. Here we go.
Things I say, I think the concern is for the level of influence I have and the reach I have.
Let's start with the allegations. Have you raped anybody?
Absolutely not.
Have you trafficked anybody?
Absolutely not.
Exploited any women for money?
Absolutely not.
But you have admitted using emotional manipulation to get women to work in the webcam industry for you.
No. We have an open criminal investigation.
Okay, notice her question style. First, she has neutral questions. Have you done this? Have you done that? Right? Then her next one, after she lays that out, she says, but what you have done, right? So she's on the offense right away. She's accusing him right away in an offensive way. So he's on the defensive immediately. And then once she goes that way, it's going to stay that way. He's going to be on defensive, and she's going to be charging forward on the offensive, accusing him of this and that and some really awful things. He's going to be in defensive stance, and it almost gives a light of guilt because he is defensive. How could you not be, right? Or what they're levying against you. Okay, let's go.
I am absolutely not really sure I'll be found innocent. I know the case better than you. I know it intimately and you don't. I have seen all the criminal files and the evidence against me and you haven't. I know the truth of what happened and you don't. And I'm telling you absolutely and utterly, I've never hurt anybody, that the case that's been put against me is completely and utterly fabricated, and I'm never going to be found guilty of anything. And it's very difficult for me to answer your in-depth questions because we're sitting here inside of the territory of Romania. I'm beholden to the Romanian legal system, and I'm not going to incriminate myself.
Let me read you then what you have said about what you have done.
Sure.
You have said, my job was to meet a girl, go on a few dates, sleep with her, get her to fall in love with me to the point where she'd do anything I say, and then get her on webcam so we could become rich together.
I don't think that's what I personally said. I think
that's exactly what you said on your website.
No, I've never said that. That's something that you found on the internet. Doesn't mean I've said it.
In your words.
And again, once again, if any female on the planet has a problem with me, I strongly recommend her to go to the police and try and pursue me for criminal charges. I'm actually such a nice person that I've never had anyone come at me.
The BBC has spoken to somebody.
Now, he denied all of it. She rang a bell. She says, that's exactly what you said. You said it here. You said it there. These are your words. This is exactly what you said. And he completely denies that, right? Now, one thing that's really important, the media does not have to be accurate in how they report information about you. They don't. Like, it's so hard to sue them if they are inaccurate. You have to prove that they knowingly and had like a gross negligence, and they knowingly lied about you when they had the information, and then they intentionally like tried to harm your reputation, and they had like conclusive evidence that it wasn't true. But if they think it, they can say it, right? And that's the standard. So the media can say whatever you want. You just have to defend yourself, but it gives them the power to ring bells and give you associations with words that make you look really bad, and that's what's going on right here.
Since your arrest, who says exactly those things, that with you it's all manipulation, there's an ulterior motive to everything you do.
Is this Sophie? Oh, it's Sophie, the fake name, no face. No,
I was so intent on wanting to please him and wanting him to be happy that...
Before Andrew Tate tries to say, I'm being such a nice guy, and then she cuts him off right away. Now she gives an example as if it has... Like there's literally a human that has talked to her, and she interviewed them, and this is what they said. And that's why Andrew Tate actually does a good job of saying, who is this? Who said it? Is this a real woman, or is this like a made up person? She doesn't acknowledge it, and she just continues on, but she doesn't deny it either.
I was just kind of, yeah, okay, do whatever you want.
And what is she accused? Has she accused me of a crime, this imaginary Sophie?
She's making the point that there is
she accused me of a crime?
Emotional or psychological manipulation.
I've asked you a question, and I've allowed you into my house.
I'm asking.
Okay, so he's being accused of things that are criminal, but he's asking, has she accused me of a crime? The lady said she's just making a point. Like anybody can say anything, or you can say someone said anything, and it looks really bad. It sounds really bad, and there's nothing that you can really do. You know, they're just ringing bells, word associations. They're associating him with things that are really horrible, and all he can do is deny it. But once people feel like all these things are levied, they usually tend to kind of feel like, well, I'm sure all of that wasn't false. Maybe he didn't do everything, but I'm sure he did some of it. That's what the thoughts that kind of get in people's head, because she's leveraging and levying so many heinous acts. It's like, gosh, he probably did some of it, which is any of it's completely awful. Now he's questioning her, like, did she commit a crime? And the lady's gonna snap back, like, I don't answer your questions, you answer mine, which is true, because he did agree to an interview. So he's gonna challenge her and kind of say, like, you're not the authority, but he is in a subordinate position that he has to answer questions. It's like if you have a boss and they're questioning you and you question your boss, and the boss is going to say, I don't answer your questions. I don't have to answer to you. You answer to me. So it is kind of that position where he is in a unfortunate position. He is in a lower position to have to answer her questions.
Asking you a question.
Correct, but you're not the boss here, because I've allowed you into my house.
I'm asking you the questions.
Correctly, and I'm telling you.
You get to decide the answers.
No, we're equal here. I've allowed you into my house. You don't come here with a position of authority. I'm doing you the favor as legacy media, giving you relevance by speaking to you. And I'm telling you now, this Sophie, which the BBC has invented, which there's no face of, nobody knows who she is.
The BBC did not invent
Of
her.
course not. And
okay, so that this is just a battle of power, right? He's like, I'm telling you, and she's like, you get to answer the questions. You answer to me, I don't answer to you. And he's like, well, I'm telling you, and it's just kind of a battle of power for the time being. Now, this is really interesting because the power game is always at play. But when you're dealing with these type of things, you're dealing with the media, brothers, stay below the radar. Don't break the law. Do everything above board, like Brazil Yes says. You don't want to end up in this situation where you have the media in this position where they can play with these words of art and they can associate you with terrible things, and only thing you can do is defend yourself, and they can say you did 10 things and they can be awful things, and all you can do is kind of defend yourself, right? You just look like you're defensive. So the best thing I think that he did, though, is set this interview up where he is pretty far. He's got a pretty far distance away from her. It looks like they're a good 10 yards away. So when it does get contentious or it does get elevated, he is so far away from her that she can't seem threatened. She can't feel like she's of any potential harm or make him look like a guy who would harm a woman, right? Because he's just so far away from her. That's something I noticed. That's the best thing that he did that kind of helps his position, because it would be awful if they were sitting closer and then it got elevated and she could act like she was scared being a woman. The media picked this woman out, and if you don't think she practiced these accusations, how to say them, how much to say them, how many accusations to levy against him, what tone to use, how to really have the most impactful statements to make him defensive, all this has been practiced. She's very good at her job. She's done it for a long time. And then she's also, I mean, dare I say it, a very small, petite woman with pale skin. It all plays. It all plays in a society, in Western society. Let's keep it moving.
because you never invent anything. And she's not filed criminal charges against me. What are we talking about here? What is she saying?
We're talking about emotional manipulation into the sex industry for your financial gain.
Absolute garbage.
I'm describing women who are going to court to accuse you of rape and human
Sophie hasn't gone to
trafficking.
court. Sophie doesn't
And
exist.
I'm describing women who have spoken to the BBC at length.
Sophie doesn't exist.
And other media organisations about what they say is emotional manipulation and coercion. And I'm quoting back to you your own words where you describe
They're not my words.
coercion
They're words
and emotional manipulation.
They're words you found on the internet, and Sophie doesn't.
So he's just got to defend from all those different things. She's saying, like, some people taking you to court, some people spoken to us and spoken to other people, and like there's no way he can like really prove or disprove. He just has to deny it, you know? So um, it makes him look defensive the whole entire time. And she can constantly sit there and do that. And there's nothing he can really do. Brothers, we do not want to play this game. They're very good. That's how you know who's in power. The people or whatever entity or whatever that can accuse you, ring all these bells of word association with very awful things, and then in the end possibly prosecute you and you know have a very negative impact on your life. That's who's in power. And passport bros, that is not us. We want to move across this earth as free people, but we must acknowledge the axles of power and avoid them. Stay below the radar. Don't break the law. Another thing I want to point out is the fact that she's talking about emotional manipulation for sexual escapades or whatever for financial gain. That's kind of the triple whammy. She's appealing to women. They're the emotional creatures, right? So emotional manipulation. You don't really hear about men being emotionally manipulated too often. And she's accusing him of emotional manipulation of a woman. Most women understand that concept and feel that concept. And usually women engage in manipulation far more than men do. So they really understand it, how to use it, and also how you can be victims of it, right? And then the sexual, that's the next thing, right? She rings that bell quite a bit times. Sexual harassment for sexual gain, and then turn into profit for money. She's kind of painting him like he's a pimp, right? All this is very well planned out. It's obviously not just a conversation. It's definitely painting a perception of him, right? The legal system is one thing, but the perception, the public perception, what do they call it? The court of public opinion. That is what's being painted right here.
Doesn't exist.
On your
let's move on to the
website,
next
in
subject.
your voice.
Move on to the next subject.
No, I think I'll stick on this one for a minute. So there's other places in that same website where you say you get girls to fall in love with you and they do it because they love you, because they want to do what you say. Convincing women to take part in some kind of business arrangement doesn't work long term because they're emotional. You've got to get them to fall in love with you. That's coercion, that's emotional manipulation, that's abuse.
What you've found are clips from the internet, some text from the internet, and you're going to sit here and tell me that that's the reason I should be
Your website, your words.
It's not my website.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. Check my website. Next.
It's the website you've taken down, and I wonder why those comments have been taken down.
No website's been taken down. My website is the same, and it's been the same for a very long time. You are accusing me, I'm guessing, what you're trying.
See, she's not asking him, like, were those on her websites? Like, did you have those? Did you take them down? She's saying, like, they were on your website, and I'm wondering why you've taken them down. Everything is really strongly accusatory. Once again, emotional coercion, manipulation, you know, for financial gain and you know, sexual exploitation. All this stuff is what's really heightened in society, and it's a tool used to take powerful men down. I think it was a book, How to Destroy a Man Through Sexual Accusation of, you know, in a workplace and things like that. These techniques are really being used, and brothers, we don't want a part of it. Passport bros, you don't want to play this game whatsoever. You want to stay low. Look at the 48 Laws of Power. I've linked that in the description. It says court attention. That's the only thing I disagree with in that book. I think you don't want to court attention. You want to lay low. You want to be silent. You want to enjoy your life and create the life that you want. But the more attention you have, the more negative things that can be brought your way that are outside of your control. But they will label you to death and really harm everything that you're trying to do. So let's be careful. Let's be wise. This is a teaching tool.
To say is you're accusing me, and you're trying to say that I'm guilty of the things I'm accused of, and that I'm emotionally manipulating people.
I'm saying that you have said you emotionally manipulated people here for your own financial gain.
No, absolutely not.
It's not only about the criminal allegations. It's a much bigger issue. You've got children's organisations in the UK, you've got rape organisations in the UK, you've got the police naming you by name as someone who has a harmful influence on children and on women in the UK and elsewhere because of the things you say, because of the way you present gender relations, the way you say men should treat women?
That's very upsetting. And the reason that's very upsetting is because I know that's not true. I'm genuinely a good person. I believe my impact on the world is positive.
The reason we're asking you about these comments is because we've got the...
Real quick, if you notice, every time he says anything positive about himself, that he's a genuine good person, his impact on the world is positive, she cuts him off, and she doesn't want to let him get it out. That's the game that's going on. It's a game of perception, right? She's painting really dark image, and he's trying to brighten it up, a positive image, and she won't allow him. She cuts him off. It's really interesting to see.
Chief executive of Rape Crisis, naming you individually as spreading a dangerous ideology of misogynistic rape culture.
Absolute.
It's the comments you make that are leading people to say things like this.
Absolute garbage.
National organizations who are saying that, are blaming you for increasing levels of misogyny. Schools that are saying they are having increased incidents of girls being attacked, of female teachers being harassed.
If that was
by
true,
pupils because of you and your teaching and your influence.
That's absolute garbage. I have never, ever encouraged a student to attack a teacher, male or female, ever. I preach hard work.
Now, these are heinous accusations, right? Andrew Tate's only been on the scene for a year, right? Maybe a year and a half. What's been going on before? What were we in 2023? Before 2021? Society looks the same to me. I haven't seen a huge change in male and female relationships in the last 18 months to where now all of a sudden everyone's getting harassed. Everyone's a threat to be harmed. And we all of a sudden got a new rape culture. And what's that said? Like I said, I'm not privy to the UK culture, but the West in general usually operates pretty similarly because they use the same techniques because it's all owned by the same people. But society's been this way for it's been coming this way, and it's not because of Andrew Tate. I think social media outside of him engaged it a lot more and affected a lot more than Andrew Tate. He just has an effect on boys and men trying to be strong and trying to be able to combat a lot of the effects of other, I won't get into it, but other supremacy groups, by other genders that aren't men.
Work, discipline. I'm an athlete. I preach anti-drug. I preach religion. I preach no alcohol. I preach no knife crime. Every single problem with modern society, I'm against.
But
I'm teaching young men to be disciplined, to be diligent, to listen, to train, to work hard, to be exactly like me. And I'm saying that if men grew up like me, which are hardworking.
Now she's going to talk about men and boys. The next thing, she's going to be men and boys, and it's going to be a very negative piece. She's going to hit the emotional spot. A lot of women who watch this interview are going to be emotionally affected by that. And all, a lot of women in Western society have an issue with men. Like I said, there's supremacy movements that really paint men as the enemy, and they really try to break men down. And when men try to be strong and, Andrew Tate is perceived as a leader in it, they're going to attack him with all costs and say that he's having a bad effect. They're going to try to shame men back into this position where they just can't do anything, toxic masculinity. I did a video earlier. Everyone, please like and subscribe again. If you're getting value from this video, and I know you are because this is powerful teaching, but I did a video on emotional masculine qualities of human. Whenever they have that combination, it's always negative. And when people are seeking power, they're in their masculine energy. But when they're emotional based, like this lady is appealing to emotion, it's always dangerous. And that's exactly what's going on.
And diligent and some emotional control and stoic, we're going to have a better society, not a worse society. To sit here and say that schools in England, which is a failing nation, which has knife crime going through the roof, violence going through the roof, men's mental health going through the roof, and they're going to all blame me because I appeared on the internet 1 year ago.
You sell an image of success.
Disingenuous. It's disingenuous.
You sell an image of financial success with a Bugatti and a cigar, but it comes with a side order of misogyny.
How does having a Bugatti and a cigar come with misogyny?
I am asking you about things that you have said that have caused major national organizations, including the police, to worry about you by name. That's what I'm asking you about.
It's not what I said.
It's about what you have said that has caused such concern in the UK. And I want to put it to you that you don't really care about the harm it causes.
That's not true.
Because
that's not true.
Making controversial statements like this.
She's not asking him. She's not doing an interview asking him questions. She's telling him. If you listen to her words and how she's speaking, she's telling him, she's making statements, she's ringing bells. Very important to see how it's done.
Online has made you a lot of money.
Okay, so first thing, I genuinely am a force for good in the world. You may not understand that yet, but you will eventually. And I genuinely believe I'm acting under the instruction of God to do good things, and I want to make the world a better place. I genuinely believe my legacy is a good legacy, and I believe that eventually when the legacy media catches up, they're going to understand I'm a good positive influence. I'm not interested in damaging the world for money, because if I was interested in damaging the world for money, I could have sold drugs, or I could make rap music and encourage everyone to stab each other like all the drill artists do.
Or you could make controversial statements online that attract a lot of followers who you then direct to your website where they pay to learn how to be like you.
I mean, I could make jokes online. Who doesn't? I mean, I could make a joke online.
Are you saying that all the controversial things you've said are jokes?
No, I'm saying that these organizations and the BBC who are going to sit here and pretend that I am the face of damaging the youth is absolutely garbage. It's completely disingenuous.
It makes you
money. And the reason, in fact, I've seen thousands and thousands of comments and have endless emails from women praising praising the fact that their sons are listening to me.
Does it not worry you?
The fact that
the things I'm saying, does it not worry you?
It would worry. Are
you not concerned about your influence?
It would worry me if I was genuinely damaging the world. But for you to sit here and say, Andrew, you've become the most Googled man in the world, you have billions of views, and one woman, is now saying that her husband is not the same man she wants him to be, when thousands and thousands of people are saying the opposite, well, then I would say
I've presented you with case after case after case, with quote after quote after quote of people who are genuinely concerned about the impact you're having, and you brush it off as if it's nothing.
No, what you have done is come here with an agenda, you've come here with loaded questions, you've come here with things taken out of context, you come here with things that you don't understand are satirical, and then you're going to also sit and say that one woman said that her boyfriend changed when he watched one of your videos. And then I don't know what you expect me to say to that.
Sarcastic, and jokes. No, that's how you explain the comments you make.
For you to sit down.
Would you like to apologize for any of them?
For you to sit down.
So she rings that bell, and now apparently he's done something that he needs to apologize for. So in the eyes of the law, you're innocent until proven guilty. But in the court of public opinion, you are guilty and should apologize for the things that you've done, even though he hasn't been found guilty. Like, he hasn't had his day in court. And this is actually poisoning his reputation for when he does have his day in court. It shouldn't be allowed, but it is somehow. The media is very clever. The legacy media is very clever.
For you to sit down, it's fine. No, it's fine. It's easy. For you to sit down and say that one woman said that her boyfriend watched an Andrew Tate video and now he won't do the dishes.
Schools.
Or whatever your argument is.
Police.
And that I'm somehow the worst, most dangerous man in the world because I have a car. Is just disingenuous. If you actually watch the things I say, if you actually watch my comments about women, I've done long podcasts for hours long about females, talking about protecting for them, providing for them, how I believe a woman should be treated in a relationship. I've done all of this.
Andrew Tate talking there to Lucy Williams.
Okay, now we got the post-interview perception, right? So they give you a pre-interview situation where they preface it, then they have the interview, and now they're going to give you a post-interview perception. And if you notice, this is a news media organization. You would think it would be balanced as far as maybe giving you some information from one point of view and then giving you some information from the opposite point of view, right? But no, that's not what they're going to do. They're giving you one side, and then it's one man defending himself against these multitude of people who gives you a certain perception. They've got the lady interviewing them, and then, they got this man who's, works for the news media company, and then they've got another lady that's going to come on, with a certain, perception of her, and then she's going to be giving off information that does more of the same of what the interviewer did. You never get his side or a witness on his side or anyone giving him any sort of a character validation other than himself defending himself. You don't get anything positive. You get him in a defensive posture and then them just doing more of the same, more examples of it. By the time you watch his interview, there's so many negative perceptions or impressions of him that I can't even keep count. Like I said, in the description, I got 48 Laws of Power. Read that or listen to it. I think it's like 4 hours long. Listen to it intently because this is a game that's played. Passport Bros, we do not want to engage in this. What we don't have is this type of power, right? We're just individuals and communities moving across the world to find happiness under God's green earth, and then, go back to meet our ancestors one day when it's all said and done. But we don't control the world. We're not ruling. We ruled for 80,000 years, at least, before the Moors were defeated in the 1400s. But since then, we are not in charge, and this is showing you. Here we go.
Well, let's go straight to the newsroom, go straight to our education editor, Branwen Jeffries, who's there for us. And Branwen,
look at the perception of her. Look very closely, like how she's dressed, what she looks like. It's very intentional, right? And then even look at the background, the backdrop. They got a slow-moving background scene, and it moves methodically. And I put you in a suggestive state because this is a program. You are being programmed to think that guy's a dirtbag.
And I know that over the last recent while, you've been talking to so many teachers about Andrew Tate. How concerned are they about the stuff he pumps out?
Matthew, teachers have spoken.
He could have said, I know you've been talking to a lot of teachers. What are their thoughts on Andrew Tate? But he says, how concerned are they about what he pumps out? It's all negative perception.
Very vividly of how they are deeply worried about how the language, the attitudes, the behaviours that Andrew Tate models.
Notice the slow-moving backdrop. That's part of the program. It puts you in a suggestive state. That's why when you go to psychologists or you go to different, doctors that are for mental health, a lot of times they have these animations in their room or these different sort of ornaments that move slowly. They tick back and forth. It just puts you in a highly suggestive state. Just like the movie Get Out. Watch the movie Get Out and they'll talk about it. Okay, here we go.
In his content are having a far-reaching influence on boys as young as 10 and 11 and certainly older teenagers. That, they say, is translating into a culture where casual sexism is normalised in UK schools, where the kind of language that you might hear in some of Andrew Tate's videos are then repeated.
Okay, so before Andrew Tate, I heard a lot on social media where women would say, kill all men. Men are trash. I mean, casual. It was just really normal and casual as far as sexism. This is all before Andrew Tate. But now all of a sudden, they want to pin all of that behavior on Andrew Tate and then men and boys by proxy. They're saying that boys and men are doing it. And there's no discussion of when women did it. Matter of fact, when women did it, they still do it. But when they did it, with impunity, it was never touched. It was never covered. I mean, I'm talking kill all men. That's what they would say. It was awful. But they were able to do it and never had it even touched. Now they're also going to show you this split screen and this image of him walking and looking like a criminal. He's not wearing a nice shirt and tie like they are. He's not in a good light. He's walking in handcuffs. They're criminalizing his image. One of the laws of 48 Laws of Tower is protect your reputation at all costs with your life, because when they destroy that, then they can destroy you, and everyone will agree to it. That's the scary thing. Everyone will agree that you should be. I mean, you could have anything harmful done to you, and people will think it's the right thing to do because of the perception that they have for you. These are perception makers.
By children back to teachers, and that along with other online content is contributing to sexual harassment in schools, to sexual assaults in schools.
In terms of what we were just listening to and what you've just said about concern from teachers, how are they actually combating all of that? And in terms of conversations you have with pupils, what sort of proportion roughly know about this sort of content, view this sort of content, are potentially influenced by this sort of content?
It would be hard to find a teenager in the UK who wasn't aware of Andrew Tate and his content, whether or not they've consumed very much of it themselves, and some of them will have done. He projects this image of success, of fame, of wealth, which very much appeals to some easily influenced young teenage boys, and alongside that they are absorbing some of the other language and attitudes that he's using. Now, schools have genuinely taken a view that they don't want to focus.
You can take someone like Cardi B, who kind of promotes this image of success and wealth, and the same thing she just said about him, and no one says anything. Right? She does the exact same thing, and then she has a very strong, high sexual content. No one says anything. She's admitting to doing, very bad things before she got famous to men. She's admitting on camera, and no one says anything. It's just like these are just double standards that no one talks about. But I mean, it's clear as day. It's clear as the sea. So now they're doing it towards him, and it's only bad when he does it. This is how you attack power. You attack powerful men. You attack men. The fact that we're powerful is what is they're able to levy against us, and the perception of us as being harmful because we are powerful.
It's too much on him as an individual, but rather their approach is that they try to teach about respectful language and relationships, to try and give some sense of what is normally acceptable in society, and to build resilience in children so that they can look at online content, look at videos on different social media platforms, and distance themselves enough to make a judgment about whether those are behaviours they should be adopting. But schools say they are fighting an uphill battle against what teenagers can see online and on social media, and this is just one part of it.
Okay, so let's see here. Okay, so they painted their story, right? I'm not saying Andrew Tate is innocent or guilty. This has nothing to do with Andrew Tate, frankly. This is about, just picking up game and what to stay clear of. Stay out of the way. We don't want this in our life. This is what you don't want, right? Kevin Samuels would say a court attention, a court all attention, right? I disagree. If my YouTube channel blew up, I hardly have any subscribers, super small channel. But if it blew up and I started getting this sort of attention, even a hint of it, I would stop. I would cut off my YouTube channel immediately. I don't care how much money I was making, because I just want to live my life and meet the goals that I want to meet, and feel how I want to feel as a man, roaming this planet and being free. And the bigger you get and the more attention you get, the more people have access to harm your reputation. So once again, if you found value in this video, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Comment below and let me know what you think about this interview. I just want to give you a little bit of game and how power is levied. So a lot of people want power, but be careful and think about what you ask for. Because in my mind, the Password Bros are really about just being free of kind of the entrapments of Western society. And make no mistake about it, everything I showed you today is about Western society. I'm not saying other societies don't have this, but it's not levied like this. It's different. And they don't have the motivation as long as you're not causing a problem. If you go overseas, you get a lady who treats you well, and you hang out with her, even if you guys break up and you meet someone else, you just live in your life and you're doing something that is positive. You're not harming people and you're living your life and you're getting treated well. That would be the goal, but you need to know what to stay clear of. Like in my last video, stay clear of masculine humans who are very emotional, no matter if that's a man or a woman. Also, stay clear of people who are harming your reputation and have a propensity of doctoring up perception, right? And that doesn't have to be the media. That can be just a normal person who's all about drama and is a real chatty patty kind of person and makes people gain a perception about you who haven't even came in contact with you. And most of the time when people do that, it's going to be negative. If they're big up in you, then that's a good thing. But if they're not, if they're speaking negatively about you, you got to fix that. You got to guard your reputation. You got to fix that scenario. Make sure that we're moving. We're good men. We have a quality reputation, and we're able to define ourselves from our behaviors, not from a situation like this where legacy media is painting you negative, because they do it to us a lot. Melanated brothers get this a lot. They even have terms and labels for us. They got stupid colors like black man, right? Which isn't actually a human or anything like that. It comes down to like an artificial legal concept, a straw man. It's not real, but they paint it with you, and they put that label on you, and then they cast it as negative. It works really well. That's the reason we have a lot of the problems that we have today. When, at the end of the day, we're indigenous aboriginal humans of the world, no matter where you are, in Asia, in America, in Africa, all over the planet. The original indigenous aboriginal people are indigenous woolly-haired people like us. We got so much evidence, it's silly, but they got the power of the media. And so guard your reputation. Be safe, be cool. One love, brother. Holla at your man next video. This is Gamma. This is the Gamma Effect. Peace.